Animating your character's face expressions is what will really bring them to life. In part 3 of this 3-part video series, I'll show you how to use Cartoon Animator's face templates to quickly animate facial expressions, and then I'll show you how to add the final touches like eye blinks using the Face Puppet editor. Okay, so if you've been following this series, by now you'll have a project like this where you've got your character set up on the stage, all the lip sync is done, you've animated the body and you've animated the camera, or at least you've chosen your camera shots. So I'm just going to get back to the start of my video, and at the moment we've got this first frame here that we may just cut out in the final render so that we don't have to worry about it. It's not going to be a big deal. The character isn't doing anything on that particular frame. Now we're going to start animating the face because, as you can see,
I'm Anime Amy. Have you discovered me in the Reallusion Marketplace?
The character doesn't really make
and my pack includes this
any facial expressions whatsoever. Her eyes are staying completely open and staring straight ahead, so we want to get some expression into the face and make her blink and move her pupils around so that she looks more like a living character and less like a puppet or a doll, if you like. So I'm going to go right from the start, so I'm just going to stop here, and we don't need to keep the motion track open on the timeline particularly anymore. We can close that down now, but we do need to keep the face track open so that we can see where these different parts of the dialogue actually happen, and we can keyframe accordingly with the face. So there's a number of ways you can animate the face, but we're going to stick to what I believe is probably the easiest method where you can actually get facial expressions going and have control of those facial expressions, and that's by opening up the face key editor. Is this button here, and in the face key editor we've got this window which you'll see you've got a head rotation gizmo, which is this thing here. We'll make sure we're on the very first frame here while I'm showing you how this works. This gizmo we can click and drag, and it will move the head, but because this is a morph based head, that doesn't look particularly good when we do this. If it was a G3 360 head, moving this around would make the head turn a lot more realistically, as those heads do. We'll just undo that for the minute. We've got this outer ring on here that will turn the head from side to side, but you'll notice this particular character, if I use that, the hair does not move with the head. That's because this hair is attached to the body rig rather than the head rig, which is actually probably a mistake I made when I made the character, but it doesn't really matter a whole lot because it's not a G3 360 head character, so these two, the gizmo is not something you would use a lot with it anyway. You can move the head by using the bones in the body and the neck, like the neck bone and what have you. So undo that, make sure we're back to the start. And this morph template we're not going to use just yet. In fact, we're not going to use that at all. We're going to go to the template tab, and here's where you'll find all the different facial expressions, and these let you obviously create these expressions with one click. So I'm going to turn the head gizmo off since we don't need it. See, at the moment we've got a neutral expression, but if I click happy 1, see we get this more happier expression, happy 2, happy 3, 4, 5. You can see we get different versions of happy. And so if we do that expression, we've got this expression slider down here where we can adjust how much that particular template is affected on the face. And we've also got detail settings in here if you want to get even more control of the face, but we're not going to be using these pretty much during this tutorial. But say if I wanted to do some adjustment with the brows on this expression, see over here we've got the brows raise left and brows raise right. I've got sliders that are almost all the way turned up. We can adjust that and have one brow go down and one up, or we can make the brows narrow Browse raise inner left, you can just see that up in the top there when I slide that around. And keep in mind that this is a morph based head, and these sliders will work a lot better on a morph based head because the head is basically a wireframe mesh that's being stretched and morphed by these. If you've got a sprite based head character, some of these will work a little bit differently. You might see there's a little check mark on the slider for sprite based heads, and what that check mark means is when you go past it, that's when that sprite will change. It'll only have like 2 states that it can be in. I think there'll be any shown on here because again this is a morph based head. You can pretty much do anything you want with a morph based head. It's a wireframe setting that can be moved in to almost any position, but we'll reset all that and put her face back to neutral. So on the timeline, when you activate these different faces, if we scroll down, we've got facial clip and face motion. Facial clip is where all of this stuff happens. You'll see if I move the timeline and then select happy 7, face will go happy, and you'll see there's a keyframe being added down here, and this is a new clip. Now you can add any of these faces and they won't affect the lip sync. So if I click on here and move this, I don't think I can move it outside of the expression. You can see the mouth still moves. It'll look happier, but it'll still speak. These expressions also work in a similar way to, like the keyframes work in a similar way to how the hands did and the camera, in that if I do over here and so I add an angry expression, so we can go into this drop down here and change to angry, and we get a selection of angry faces. If I do this most extreme angry face here, you'll see a keyframe was added there, and if I move the playhead, you'll see that her face expression will gradually change towards being happy when I scrub backwards. Until she's happy again. And this is basically the principle behind how you use these templates to quickly add expressions to your characters. And you can't actually add transition curves to these, so we can't use the step feature to keep all of these keyframes matching this one. But if we wanted to do that, we could put the playhead to the one keyframe just before this angry one. Go back to happy. I believe it was happy 6 that we did, or maybe it was either happy 5. Either way, you'll see that face now holds its happy expression, and then when we go to the next frame with angry, instantly angry. If you want a bit of transition between 2 expressions, simply move the keyframe to an earlier position, and you'll see now we get a slower transition into angry. And as noted before, you can't move keyframes outside of the clip. If you do need to move something here this direction, you need to move the playhead, maybe add a neutral expression out here, and now you'll be able to move this keyframe wherever you want in between those 2 points. So that's pretty much all you need to know in terms of how to add facial expressions. I'll go through and do the first few expressions, and then I'll complete the whole animation and we'll come back and see what that looks like. So what I'm going to do to start with is pretty much undo all the keyframes I've added so far, because they were all just for demonstration purposes. Now what we're going to do is add these expressions with a bit more purpose. Obviously for the whole thing she's going to be for the most part in a happy mood, but we're just going to vary how much of a happy mood she's in, or depending on what she's saying we might go back to more of a neutral expression. We'll just see how we go. So starting from the beginning, we just listen what she's saying.
Hi, I'm Anime Amy.
Obviously, in that section, when she says hi, you would expect her to perhaps be happy and smiling. And we'll make sure she's in a neutral expression when the animation starts. But by the time she gets to hi, we'll choose one of these happy faces. And it's really up to you which one you choose, whatever looks how you think she should look. I would say, like, she's not hugely happy, maybe happy 2 would be good. So we go. And if we wanted to hold that happy expression, we just move the playhead for however long we want it to be held for. I'm going to hold it up until frame 20 and then click neutral. No, I'm going to click P2 first so that she holds it. You can see between those two keyframes she's holding that expression. And then we might go back to neutral while she's introducing herself. So we'll hold that neutral position to there, and when she says her name, maybe she gets a little bit happier again. Probably a bit too happy. Maybe go there. Maybe she gets happy there. Happy 4 to there, and maybe just as we're going into here, decrease that happiness to 2 maybe, or 1. Might hold that happy 1 till that frame. Maybe go back to just a bit neutral there, because it's not that interesting what she's saying. Go neutral up to there, and now she's about to say, I'm completely free. So she might get really happy as she's saying that. It's probably a bit too happy, so we'll go back to that frame. Might go with happy 4. To there. Back to happy 2. Happy 4 up to there. Maybe go back to neutral. Keep it neutral there. You can see we're moving along pretty fast, and this is pretty much all it is. You just decide where you want an expression to start, click the button, how long you want it to hold for, and you click that button again at that next keyframe to hold, and work out where you want to change the expression, and keep going along. So I'm going to go through and do the rest of this, and then we'll come back and look at adding final touches. So now I've done all my facial expressions, we'll have a look, see at how that looked. And I might just shut the timeline down and we'll just play it.
Hi, I'm Anime Amy. Have you discovered me in the Reallusion Marketplace? I'm completely free, and my pack includes this template project of me in my gaming room. Did you know you can learn to make and rig characters just like me with the Lazy Animators free course? The fastest way to rig and animate your first character in Cartoon Animator. You'll find the link in this video's description. It's completely beginner-friendly, and you'll learn so much.
So, as you saw there, that already was looking a little better. You just have to sort of feel your way through as to what facial expressions match with what she's saying. You don't want to overdo it and have her changing her facial expression every 20 frames, which would be virtually every second. But you just want to put in a range of expressions that match what she's saying so that you get eyebrow movement and the mouth smiling a bit more and the eyes sort of squinting. You'll notice the various things, like you can see there she's got an eyebrow going up and both eyebrows go up and down there. So it's just to get some movement into her face so that she looks more alive and more like an actual living character. But obviously there's one big glaring problem here, and that is she's not blinking and her pupils aren't moving around at all. So that's what we're going to look at next, and we're going to do a quick pass and add those things in using the Face Puppet Editor. This button here. Actually, before we do this, or at least before I do this, I'm going to do a quick save of what we've done so far, just to make sure we mess this up at all, we can get back to where we were. So I'll just save over my project here, go OK. It's always a good idea to keep saving. As I said in a previous video, Cartoon Animator has been known to crash, and while it does have a backup option, occasionally that fails and you could possibly lose your work, so make sure you do save often. So back in the Face Puppet Editor, this is the interface here, and the way this works is you've got these profile faces that you can choose from that generally affect how the animation happens here. I generally sort of leave it on the default settings. If you want to add expressions and stuff in with this, you can actually do the entire character's face animation through the Face Puppet Editor and not use the templates at all. And that's something that I teach in my Animating Talking Heads course, how to use this on its own to do your character expressions. For what we're doing, our purpose here, all we need is the default, and this feature here determines what parts of the head move when we hit record. You can see if I preview now, I'll hit preview, and normally wherever you hit space, that's where all of the animations, that's the reference point that the head moves from. So I try to put my mouse cursor roughly in the middle of the neck, or you could go the middle of the face if you like, just for that reference point. Hit the space button, so you've got this little crosshairs here, that's your reference point. You'll see when I move the mouse around, at the moment it's set so that the head can look up and down, which is something we don't want with this character, because as you can see the hair is not moving with it, and turn left and right, which we don't want. And when we click the left mouse button, the character blinks their eyes, and none of this is being recorded, so we're okay. This is just a preview. So I hit space to stop doing that, and all we want to do is have the eyes blink and move the pupils around, because we don't want this face to be turning left and right or anything like that. We've kind of got enough head movement through all our body motions. We've got the head turning left and right, whatever, so we don't really need to turn the head here. So in order to just move the eyes and make them blink, we want to hit this button, which clears all the selections, and we just want to click in the pupils here to make sure we can blink the eyes. We need to also select her eyelids there, and I might select the bottom ones as well just in case, but I don't think that makes too much of a difference. We'll just preview that and see what happens. Now again we can move her eyes, and when I click the left mouse button, now she's blinking. You'll see when we go all the way up there, because we've got the bottom of the eyes selected over here, there's a bit of movement in the bottom of the eye along here. That's all we need, and what we're going to do is puppet the eyes as it plays through, just to add those things in. I'll stop that. And you'll see down here we've got this box that says blend data on next recording. Make sure that's checked, otherwise when you record with this, if that's not checked, all of your face templates will get wiped out from the timeline, and just whatever you puppet here will be what's recorded. So we don't want that to happen. We want to keep the keyframes that we've done with the template and make sure what we puppet here gets blended in with those. And don't worry if you get it wrong doing this. You can record the whole thing. If it looks really bad, you can hit Control Z, undo it, and you'll be able to re-record again. So what we're going to do, I'm going to move this out of the way so that we can see the character's head, and I'm going to hit record, and all I'm going to do is, as she's speaking, I'm going to move the mouse around to move her pupils. You don't want to do too much movement, you just want to try and keep her generally looking at the camera, maybe occasionally breaking away and looking somewhere else. But because she's speaking at the camera, she'll be trying to look at the camera, so you want to try and keep her eyes so that they look like they're looking at the camera. And every so often you'll just hit the mouse button to add in an eye blink. Sometimes you might add in a double blink, because typically people don't blink their eyes once too often. Quite often they'll do a double blink as they're talking. It's really up to you. You can really sort of train yourself to know exactly when she should blink, but as long as you've got some blinks in there, it tends to help make the character look more alive and living. So I'm going to do a first pass, the record button. You'll notice here, if you're finding it all is going too fast, instead of hitting space, you can hit the enter button, and that will slow the recording down to half speed, so that you can perhaps be a bit more careful about where you put in your eye blinks and stuff. So I'm just going to hit the space bar, put the cursor just below the chin, and
Hi, I'm Anime Amy. Have you discovered me in the Reallusion Marketplace? I'm completely free, and my pack includes this template project of me in my gaming room. Did you know you can learn to make and rig characters just like me with the Lazy Animators free course? The fastest way to rig and animate your first character in Cartoon Animator. You'll find the link in this video's description. It's completely beginner friendly, and you'll learn so much.
there we go. So if I stop this now, go back to the beginning, just see what it all looks like.
Hi, I'm Anime Amy. Have you discovered me in the Reallusion Marketplace? I'm completely free, and my pack includes this template project of me in my gaming room. Did you know you can learn to make and rig characters just like me with the Lazy Animators free course? The fastest way to rig and animate your first character in Cartoon Animator. You'll find the link in this video's description. It's completely beginner friendly, and you'll learn so much.
That wasn't too bad. I was finding it a bit hard to keep her eyeballs sort of relatively still because she was moving around a lot. I might give it another pass. We might try the half speed to see if that helps. I'm going to do Control Z to undo all that. You can see her eyes return, and you'll notice there's no animation on her eyes at all now. We can give this another shot. So we'll hit record, and I'm going to hit enter just to see how that looks when we're recording.
Hi, I'm Anime Amy. Have you discovered me in the Reallusion Marketplace? I'm completely free, and my pack includes this template project of me in my gaming room. Did you know you can learn to make and rig characters just like me with the Lazy Animators free course? The fastest way to rig and animate your first character in Cartoon Animator. You'll find the link in this video's description. It's completely beginner friendly, and you'll learn so much.
There we go. That was a little bit easier. We'll see what that looks like.
Hi, I'm Anime Amy. Have you discovered me in the Reallusion Marketplace? I'm completely free and my pack includes this template project of me in my gaming room. Did you know you can learn to make and rig characters just like me with the Lazy Animators free course? The fastest way to rig and animate your first character in Cartoon Animator. You'll find the link in this video's description. It's completely beginner friendly and you'll learn so much.
Right, I'm pretty happy with that. As you can see, that looked relatively better. Obviously, with more practice, you could probably make that look better. But as far as I'm concerned, that's the fastest way to do eye blinks and eye movement. And I prefer it to using the face key editor and manually doing all that. And you'll notice down here in the face track that's put a whole ton of keyframes in here, and this is why you want to do the eye blink and pupil movement last, because obviously makes it very hard to make changes. Like, it's hard to want to change your facial expressions, it's hard to find where they are, so that's why I do this last. If you don't want all of these keyframes in here, then you could manually do your eye blink and pupil movement, which you would do through here using the morph base thing here. See, if I go on the first frame and select the eyes, if I want to make the character blink, click and drag and down, and you'll see the character's eyes go up and down. That's how this works if you want to do everything manually. And if you want to make the eyeballs move at the same time, you can click them, they can move, make the eyes go down like so. And the more of this you have selected, the more things that actually happen. If we select all the mouth and whatever and then drag it around, you can see now the mouth is being affected. So if you are interested in doing any manual keyframing, this is how you would do it. Set it back to default. As you can see, the other way it worked fine. We've got all our face expressions still in there. She's blinking, and it's completely fine for doing something really quick. The other thing I noticed is her hair is bouncing around quite a lot again, very distracting. At some point I must have undone changing her hair, the spring bones in her hair, so we might go back into the spring bone editor. You can see here, looking at this, pigtails, these are back to 180, so I'm going to do this again, so they're back to 5. We'll play that through, make sure that's taken effect.
Hi, I'm Anime Amy. Have you discovered me in the Reallusion Marketplace? I'm completely free and my pack includes this template project of me in my gaming room. Did you know you can learn to make and rig characters just like me with the Lazy Animators free course? The fastest way to rig and animate your first character in Cartoon Animator. You'll find the link in this video's description. It's completely beginner friendly and you'll learn so much.
So there you go, that's fixed the hair again. All there is left to do is to save this final animation. We shall do right now. Okay, and then we want to export it as an MP4 file. So go open up the render settings, go to the video tab, change it to an MP4, and we can change the output size. Generally you want HD 1080p. Super sampling optional, whether you have that on or not. I believe it possibly smooths out some of the edges of the character and whatever. I don't notice a big difference myself, but maybe we'll turn it on just to see. And at the moment this has got set to a range. If we don't want that first frame to be in the animation, so if I go back to the beginning, you'll see this first frame, which is in this weird, or her original pose that we started out in. We don't want that in there. Move to the second frame and move this marker over to here by clicking this. So you can see now that marker is on the second frame, and we just want to export a range so that that first frame's no longer included. The first frame is frame 0, so we want frames from frame 1 to frame 866. And that's pretty much all we need to do. We just need to click the export button, and we'll come back when this thing has rendered. I'll find where I'm going to save it to. Here, and we'll call it 009. Fine. Go save, and I'll just let that render, and we'll come back and look at the finished video. There we go, the export's all complete, and it asks if we want to watch the finished animation, so let's do that.
Hi, I'm Anime Amy. Have you discovered me in the Reallusion Marketplace? I'm completely free, and my pack includes this template project of me in my gaming room. Did you know you can learn to make and rig characters just like me with the Lazy Animators free course? The fastest way to rig and animate your first character in Cartoon Animator. You'll find the link in this video's description. It's completely beginner-friendly, and you'll learn so much.
So there you go, that's the completed animation. So in this 3-part video series, you've learned how to animate a character talking to camera. If you found the information useful and you want to learn even more, including how to make your own characters, I have a free course that teaches you how to make a character just like the one we've used in the video today. Just follow the link in the description for more information, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.